So today let's talk about the city of Taintsville, a cool spot tucked between two busy cities in sunny Seminole County, Florida. Taintsville, with its funny name and its friendly feel, is a great place to explore if you're interested in Orlando area history, if you want a glimpse into the authentic old Florida, or if you just want to know about the East Orlando city. You see the sign by the road as you drive by with that funny name.
I am Oviedo Realtor Diana Sacoto with RE/MAX Town Country, the #1 real estate company in East Orlando.
And I'm Realtor Scott Garrison, also with RE/MAX Town & Country. We've been living here and selling real estate here for over 36 years. Before that, I grew up here, I went to Winter Park High School, and I later graduated from UCF just down the road. And we know the community now, inside and out.
Today, we are finding out about that neat Taintsville sign you see out here in State Road 419 Aloma. Driving along, you will see the sign for the city of Taintsville, a small community between Oviedo and Chuluota in Seminole County, Florida.
It's known for its quirky name and its rural feel. It was originally a bustling citrus farming area, and now it's mostly residential with about 80 residents who live on some pretty big lots, sometimes acres and acres for their house. Now, there's not much to do there besides fishing and boating on Lake Eva, but the history is interesting. Before urban sprawl that we have here in East Orlando today, there were more open spaces in eastern Seminole County, making it hard for the rural residents to pinpoint their exact location. So in the early 1970s, those who lived near Lake Eva had trouble getting deliveries and giving directions due to the lack of distinct landmarks between Oviedo and Chuluota. There was only a fire tower there, which you can still see if you drive out there now, on the left-hand side, heading from Oviedo out to Chuluota. Local resident Theodore Peterson said, "We were tired of explaining that we reside behind the fire tower on the unmarked road." So what to do?
Among the roughly 30 neighboring families, the notion of establishing their own community began to circulate. Initially kind of a joke, the idea gradually gained traction. They had no intention of formal incorporation.
Their aim was simply to establish a sense of place. And they sought to maintain their distinctiveness from the two larger neighboring towns, particularly when rapidly expanding Oviedo was looming, which appeared to be annexing neighborhood areas at an alarming rate, like cities do. Now, this was back during the late 60s, early 70s. During a casual conversation, Boyd Best, who was a teenager at the time, was tending to the yard of residents Lee and Mary Gross. He voices frustration about the challenge of pinpointing one's home or residence when it seemed to fall between two established towns. So Boyd said something like, "We ain't quite in Chuluota, and we definitely tain't in Oviedo." So they said, "Tain't Oviedo and tain't Chuluota either." So the idea of Taintsville came into existence.
The news of this nickname of Taintsville spread quickly, finding favor among the locals who liked the name and the idea. Together, the Gross and the Corcoran families pooled resources to procure 2 highway signs from the Texas-based company, each costing $50. Additional, Ted Peterson contributed some concrete.
So they buy 2 signs by mail, they get some concrete, and one night under the cloak of darkness on a Sunday night, a group of the town founders set out with stealthy precision. They installed the markers, positioning them 1 mile apart on either side of the unofficial village boundaries. So now it's the following Monday, and a survey crew returned to the area where they had been working. Confusion abounded when they questioned whether they were in the correct location. Where did Taintsville come from?
For a brief period, both Seminole County and the state of Florida officials were puzzled by the suddenly appearance of a mysterious new settlement.
The signage appeared professional, and each entity assumed that the other had erected it. So about a week later, the truth came to light that it was a bunch of residents just put a sign up, made it look good. And the government removed the signs like governments do. But then there was another chapter. Undeterred, the 30 families comprising the budding community were unwilling to surrender quite so easily. So in the autumn of 1971, they started a petition campaign, finally causing a local commissioner, Greg Drummond, to meet with the townsfolk at the old fire tower, of course, which is the only real landmark. And he agreed to include their request to be a separate city on the agenda for the next county commissioners meeting. At that meeting, an informal assembly representing the majority of the prospective town's residents made a compelling case. The board ultimately consented to officially recognize the 700-acre area as Taintsville. Today, the village stands as a rural enclave amidst surrounding suburbs as far as the eye can see. The sprawling homesteads spanning multiple acres starkly contrast with the meticulously planned and small lotted neighborhoods encroaching on three sides. While the city limits of Oviedo now border the edges, annexation and extensive development have largely been staved off in Taintsville for now.
Can Taintsville weather the ongoing urbanization onslaught?
Or will the locals continue to embrace its name despite the contemporary appropriation of its root word? Don't Google it.
We'll see.
Isn't Taintsville history fascinating, quirky, and resilient? These are the stories I heard growing up in Oviedo, Winter Park, and Orlando here.
If you want to move to Central Florida or to the cities of Oviedo and Chuluota, why not call Realtors Scott Garrison and Diana Sacoto, the experienced realtors you already know.
We live here, we have our rental properties here, and we know the community. Most of all, we have been full-time realtors day in and day out, every day, for over 36 years of experience selling properties right here around Taintsville. We might be the obvious choice.